Hey everybody, welcome back to a special, kind of different episode of Stavi on Boxes. Today we're kind of dabbling in something that 33.33 repeating percent of Crithalla has already kind of went into the deep end with, and that is trading card games. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Dan has a Whatnot account under the name Crithalla, but specifically for Lorcana. So a little bit of background. Let's back up real quick. I haven't really been playing TCGs that long. Of course, when I was a kid, in the early to mid '90s, late '90s, I had a lot of Gen 1 Pokemon cards. I had a lot of that stuff, and unfortunately over the years nobody thought that it would be worth anything, and I lost a lot of that stuff, so I'm a little upset about that. But anyway, I did manage to find a bunch of them, and funny enough, I actually gave those to Dan, so he has them somewhere. In any case, I never really learned how to play Pokemon. I never played Yu-Gi-Oh! Even Magic the Gathering I never really got into, except for a couple of years ago. I think I started with the first Ixalan block, I want to say, and I got into it. I was like, wow, this is what card games can really be. This is a lot of fun. And then a bunch of other modern card games came out, there's Weiss Schwarz or whatever, and there's One Piece, and there's a lot of really famous IPs that have card games dedicated to them. Enough of that, though. We're talking about WARD. Now, WARD came across my desk in a series of YouTube shorts and I believe even a few Facebook ads, because funny enough, I was looking into creating and for those of you who are in the know with Magic the Gathering, I tried creating Alpha 40 deck, and obviously not for any real tournament play or anything like that, because I definitely don't have thousands of dollars to spend on cardboard for an alpha deck. So I was going to print a bunch of really cool alternate art proxies and get my group of friends together to kind of play Magic how it used to be back in the 90s, where things were a little bit more simple comparatively to what they are now with a lot of modern TCGs. And I think that's why WARD first stood out to me. Just so everybody is aware, this is not a sponsored video. This is not an ad or anything like that. This is just genuinely something that I was interested in, and I made the leap and decided to pick up a starter pack. A starter pack and 5 boosters. So what is WARD? Well, before we get into that, just want to let you guys know, we do have a podcast, in case you didn't know. It's a tabletop gaming podcast where we deal primarily with tabletop RPGs, like D&D, RuneQuest, Traveler, Morkborg. We go all over the place, and it's 3 generations of dungeon masters who kind of give their opinions and a little bit of tips and tricks and stuff like that for running the games, as well as advice from the perspective of being players as well. But predominantly we're game masters. So any GMs out there who are forever DMing 5th edition, or maybe you're a group who has never played a tabletop RPG and you're trying to get into it, come check out our podcast. We talk about a lot of really interesting and useful topics that might help you on your journey to becoming a DM yourself. In any case, so WARD. What is WARD? WARD prides itself in being an answer to that itch for TCG players of going back to the old days of robust mechanics, but also simplistic design, if that makes sense. These are my words, not theirs. WARD, what we have here is actually the 2nd generation of the WARD cards. It's a Gen 2, 1st edition. All of this is printed here in the United States. WARD is created by 2 brothers out of Minnesota. I probably should have prepped a couple of notes here, but they are the Casey brothers. I forget their first names. Forgive me for that. I'll probably put it on the screen somewhere right here. Yeah, and man, what a cool system. So what makes WARD stand out? WARD is interesting, especially for somebody who, like me, has never really got that deep into trading card games, but has been a big advocate, I guess, for tabletop role-playing games. And this kind of combines, in a very unique way, elements from both TCGs and tabletop. What I mean by that is, in WARD, at any given point, and we'll go over the rules in a little bit more once we start cracking these cases, but in a nutshell, you have 2 players for the default play. There are 30 cards per deck. I believe you can't have more than 3 of a particular copy of card, and there's a list on their website, which you can check out. It should be here. Yep, there he goes. ward.cardgame.com. Hopefully you can see that. Or I'm sorry, ward-cardgame.com. But there's like a banned in a limited or a restricted list, so you can have like one of those cards or none of them at all. But so you make a card of. Then there are 2 different card types. There are creatures and there are magic. That's it. There's no resources like in MTG where you have to balance or build a deck around how much mana you're going to pool, and have to deal with colors and all of that stuff. Fun, interesting, and very tactical, and definitely shows your ability to build decks for sure. But that's only for that system, right? This, however, 2 different card types, like I said, creatures and magic type cards. And what I mean by magic type cards are like spells, and there's different types. You know, you have your instants, you have ones that affect the entire playing field, kind of like Gwent. And I'm sure there are other TCGs that affect the entire field. And then you have ones that act as like equipments for your creatures. And you can have 10 to 20 of those, and for the creatures you can have 10 to 20 of those. But you need to make up a deck of 30 cards, right? So how this works is each player will play a single monster, a single creature at any given point. So like, here's my opponent. They have a creature, I have a creature. And what makes this interesting is the combat, and you'll see when we crack these decks open, the creatures actually have an HP like you would with any creature in a tabletop RPG. So some creatures might have 30, some might have 150 HP. And how this works is you roll 2d6 when it's your turn and you want to attack, if you choose to attack, because you could choose not to. You roll 2d6 plus any modifiers that exist on the card, the creature card, plus any modifiers you might get from any spells or magics that you may have on the field. And every creature has what's called an AL, which is effectively like their AC or their armor class. And if you roll that armor class or higher, it's a hit, and then you roll for damage, and then you basically chip away your opponent's HP. Now, if I kill this opponent's creature, and this creature had, let's say, 50 HP, that goes into the graveyard, their graveyard. If any player's graveyard, as it stands right now for default play, if any graveyard's HP count exceeds 300 in total, that player loses. And that really makes you think about what kind of deck you want to build and how powerful you want your monsters to be and stuff like that. Because if you're putting out like powerful monsters after powerful and there are restrictions to that too. You actually have to sacrifice creatures who have a certain AL in order to summon creatures with high AL. Like there's a sacrifice mechanic, and when you sacrifice, that creature's HP counts towards your graveyard total. It's interesting, and the only way to really get a hold of it and to see it is in action. And we'll definitely have a video of like a live play. But for now, this is Ward. I'll have a bunch of links down below. Again, non-affiliated, non-sponsored or anything like that. These packs feel awesome too, by the way. I'm probably going to buy a couple more just so that way I can keep some of these sealed. Because I'm very confident that these guys are going somewhere with this. This is the first time in a long time that I've personally been genuinely interested and excited to get my hands on a trading card game. Which is really saying something. So I'll leave a bunch of links down below to their website as well as their Discord if you want to come by, say what's up. I'm on there. Of course, the creators are on there. There's a bunch of moderators and even tournament champions and people who have collected every single Gen 1 card are also on there. And, you know, people are trading and doing all types of stuff. So now's a really good time to get into Ward just in general. So, that being said, let's finally get into the cracking of these cases. Now, as of right now, Ward has effectively two products. They have a starter deck, or a starter pack, and then they have these boosters. The starter pack comes with 35 semi-random cards, and some semi-random means that, you know, when you buy games like Keyforge, or not even Keyforge, let's go back to Magic as an example. If I were to buy like a pre-constructed commander deck, or any pre-constructed deck that's manufactured that way, if I buy it and you buy it, we're gonna get the same cards, right? They're always gonna be packaged with the same cards. What they did with this, and I think this is pretty cool, is that every single one of these decks are gonna be slightly different. And from what they have said, the creators, they did that because they wanted everybody who cracks their own deck to feel as if the deck is uniquely theirs. And, you know, I think that's cool. Like, I'm a big fan of that because, you know, you don't know what you're going to get. There's like an air of mystery to it. There's also an air of excitement because you may pull a card that you saw that looked really cool and it might be in here. Like, you could get a legendary. These, I mean, there are foils now with the Generation 2, which is kind of cool, but I think there might be one in here as well with the Generation 2. Real quick side note, before we crack this, Generation 1 is being reprinted. There was some kind of, I don't want to say an issue or a falling out, but Ward's previous artist and Ward, you know, separated. They went their own ways professionally, and they got a new artist for all of these cards, and I believe his name is Fabrizio something with a V. We'll see when we open the cards. I think his name is on here. And the art just looks really dope. So they're going to be reprinting Gen 1. They're going to be reprinting how it's laid out. They're going to start printing the rarity icon on the Gen 1 cards. Like, the art's going to be slightly different. The wording is going to be slightly different, just so that way it's more in line with what they have evolved into with Gen 2. So, without further ado, let's crack this first pack. I have been excited to do this for a long time, so let's see what we can get. That was a pathetic opening. We're off to a great start, guys. Oh, man. Yeah, but these feel really good. These feel really, 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 really good. So, here we go. Number 1, you get a quick start rules guide to kind of show you how exactly to play the game, which I'm a fan of. Yeah, quick rules guide. So this is the artwork, and what a hell of a card to start with. In fact, let's go ahead and scooch this over, and we'll start zooming in on some of these artwork so you can kind of see the art. So what they were going for was like a late 80s, early 90s kind of comic book feel. Oh, Fabrizio Vayner is the artist's name. And I think they did a really good job with this. I'll be honest, I was a little bit hesitant. I was a little bit reluctant to really get into Ward in the beginning when I first discovered it before Gen 2 came out. Because some of the art in the beginning, at least in the alpha deck, which I think was only internal, used AI art. And I am not a fan of AI art in general, but and it'd be pretty hard to, you know, excuse it. But two brothers with a small business and probably a small budget trying to make a trading card game, I can't really fault them too badly, especially considering that they did hire an artist to alter the art to make it their own. This, however, everything you see here, as far as I am aware, they have completely moved away from AI-generated art, and all of this stuff is hand-drawn and hand-sketched by Fabrizio. And his art is amazing. So, this is one of the magic cards I was telling you about, and you can tell because it's denoted by a blue color. The creatures will be sort of like a parchment color, sort of like the backdrop of this. But let's take a look at this card here. And I love the shocking red border. That looks really cool. It's going to look really good in these royal blue Ultra Pro sleeves. And there's a lot of lore to the card game as well. Funny enough, they have a bunch of videos on their YouTube, which I'll also link down below. So this magic card. Your opponent cannot cause damage or use magic. During your opponent's turn, they may roll 1 die. 1d6. If the result is 1 through 3, the effect ends, and this card is sent to the cemetery. Yeah, so you don't need mana to cast cards, or to cast magic, or creatures. So this is actually a kind of a cool card. Oh, I can see a foil back there. Oh, I wonder what that's going to be. So Irresistible Love. Very cool. Here's an equip. The result of the equipped creature's hit roll is replaced with the following results. That creature's modifier is removed, and if I roll a 1 through 8, it's a critical failure. And if it's a 9 through 12, it's a critical success. So that's the other thing. They have crit fails and crit successes when it comes to attack rolls. Or as they call them, hit rolls. So coming from D&D and tabletop RPGs, I'm probably just going to get stuck calling it attack rolls and damage rolls, but what it really means is hit rolls and attack rolls, I think. Like, you roll to hit and then you roll to attack, but it's going to get convoluted and it's going to take me a while to get used to that, but you'll know what I mean when I say attack and when I say damage. I'm talking about like the actual attack roll and the actual damage roll. So if I mix that up, I apologize. But yeah, that's basically what this is. So there is a critical hit and a critical miss. And basically rolling 2d6s and rolling 2 6s, so rolling a 12 on 2 6s, is a crit. And when you roll a crit, you roll double damage for that attack against that creature for your turn. Rolling Snake Eyes is not good. That's a critical miss. So not only do you miss, but you roll 1d6 and you do that much damage to your own creature. And I clarified on the Discord that the damage done to your creature does not include any buffs that you may have on your creature. It's only just raw dice damage. The Career Buccaneer. And here's another equip. For 1 turn cycle, add +6 to hit and attack modifier. And this is what I'm talking about. So hit is to hit, and attack is damage. So yeah, only the attack, and yeah, roll to hit, roll for damage. So +6 for 1 turn cycle. That's really powerful. I can't express how powerful that is. And you'll see when we see some of these creatures that a lot of their ALs or their armor is not that high. So that could be pretty brutal. And we got a bomb. Equipped to a creature. If this card is removed from the field, deal 30 HP damage to the equipped creature. That could be fun. It's pretty self-explanatory. Common boots, speed. Oh, that's the other thing. So, and we'll go over this more when we actually see a creature character, but you basically have your armor class, your speed, and your HP, I believe. And speed is kind of like initiative. If you have a higher speed, even if it's that person's turn to attack, if it's your opponent's turn to attack, if your creature has a higher speed, you attack first. Which is why it's wise sometimes to choose not to attack. Sometimes you want to delay and build up your hand, because every turn you draw a card, right? So you'll want to build up your hand and not really attack, because you know that your opponent's creature is going to be able to hit you. It's better that they attack on their turn instead of you giving them another free attack on your turn. Oh man, and the cards, the print on these cards is just amazing. I am actually kind of surprised with how good this looks. I was a little skeptical, but man, hold on. I'm gonna remove this card real quick just so I can look at it a little bit closer. Yeah, this is some pretty incredible print. Next up, Metallic Bone, another equipped card. The equipped creature cannot receive damage. During your opponent's turn, they may roll 1 die. If they roll a 1 through 3, this card is destroyed. So this is another great way to prolong your creature's life. Basically, your character... You will force your opponent to do basically a saving throw, where the odds are, I guess... I don't even want to say they're 50-50. Well, yeah, 1 through 3 would be 50-50, right? 1, 2, 3. There's 6 sides on a d6, so they have a 50% chance to remove this. Otherwise, you know, your opponent can't attack your card. Kind of cool. So here's a field card. I was hoping that we would get one of these. All creatures with "where" in their name, they get armor +5, +1 to their hit. So hit dice rolls +1, and then attack dice rolls +1. Now, I don't know if there's a distinction where you add an additional d6, or if it means that you roll as normal but add +1. I think this, how it's worded here, you actually add another dice, and you add another d6 for doing damage when you do hit. Very powerful. Magic Watch. Also, it's kind of hard to see, but maybe we can get close enough to where you can. So, wrong way. So right there, where the card number is, that is where the rarity rating is. And there are a couple different rarity ratings, and I'll probably flash them on the screen if I can get a picture of them. But basically, you have your commons, your uncommons, your rares, your legendaries, your mythics, you know, what have you. This one is a common. So Magic Watch. Equip. The equipped creature may re-roll either their hit or attack dice. Sorry, let me get in frame. Once per battle. That's kind of cool. Could be useful. Poisoned Potion. Play this card when your opponent intends to heal their creature. Negate the healing and force the creature to take the healing amount as damage instead. And you'll see these logos. Basically, the infinity symbol means that you can use this over and over and over again. Once you cast it, it doesn't really go away. I mean, this is... They're basically permanents. Well, most of the fields and the equips are going to be permanent, which is why they have the infinity logo, which means that their effect stays forever, basically, unless they're removed from the field in some kind of way. This little lightning bolt means that it's basically an instant. You can cast this on your turn or your enemy's turn. And then you have this symbol, which I think you can only cast this on your turn. So if you're thinking about it like Magic the Gathering, you have basically your sorcery and your instant, I think it's called. It's been a while since I played Magic. I know somebody will correct me. But here we have Claws of the Beast. Grow claws for 1 turn cycle. And a turn cycle is my turn, your turn. And then it goes back to me. That's 1 turn cycle. Equipped creatures gain 2 additional attack dice. If Wings of the Beast is also equipped to this creature, increase the attack dice to 3. additional dice. Pretty sweet. Warming Glow. Hit dice roll +1. So this one denotes that every hit die, whatever you roll, you add 1. Whereas the other one... Oh wait, no, hit dice roll +1. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get clarification on that. Anybody in the chat, or in the chat, here I am thinking I'm streaming. If anybody in the comments can clarify that, or maybe I'll just put it on the screen once I get clarification after I record this. Simple enough. Common Gloves, hit +3. Oops, getting ahead of myself. Let's bring this camera out a little bit, so that way you can actually see the card. Nightmare Claw, attack dice roll +1 for an equip. Bull Power, attack +2, hit +2, speed +2, armor +2. Pretty powerful. Common Armor. I'm getting all the commons. Unicorn Might, reduced equipped creature's armor by 2. Ooh, we're getting into our first creatures. And our first creature, and you see how you can see the color difference? That's how you can tell if it's a creature or just a magic card. So these are all going to be commons and uncommons in the beginning, and then we're going to get a couple of rares and possibly some legendaries and some other stuff. So, but right now, let's go over the card. We have the Skeleton Pirate. We have his armor, his speed, his hit points. We have the creature type, which is undead. We have the rarity, what generation of the card it is, the art, of course. And then we have a little bit of flavor text, and this one says, Yarg! This skeleton were a scurvy swashbuckling career I don't know why I rolled my R. Buccaneer, spending his life pillaging and plundering. I did it again. Now in death he pillages and plunders. So, yeah. And then here is the name of the attack, how many dice you roll, and the modifier that you get for both your attack and your damage. Important distinction. So you roll 2d6, and if you roll 2d6 and it's greater than the enemy's armor, which his is 4, you would roll 1 dice by default. Well, actually, you would roll 2d6 plus 2 versus their AL, and if it does hit, then their attack dice for damage is going to be 1 dice, so 1d6 plus 2 against their HP. Now, at most, this would be 8. So 8 points of damage. Let's say I fought this skeleton. My opponent has 40 HP, and I did 8 points of damage. That's where the magic cards come in. The creatures, for the most part, start off relatively weak. Some of them, some of them are literal gods, and some of them are just unforgivably strong. But the majority of the creatures are going to be not very hard swinging creatures, so you're going to rely on building a good variety of different magic effects, equip effects, and stuff of that nature. So cool art, big fan of pirates, big fan of skeletons. Overall, just a really, really cool card. And then we have the squirrel. I was joking about the newest Magic the Gathering set, Burrow something or another. I haven't really been paying attention. Apparently it's very popular. People are really, really loving it, and I can see why. But I wanted to make a squirrel deck even before that set came out. And apparently people have done that. They've done, like, squirrel tribal decks. And that could be fun. But look at this poor guy. Little squirrel. Not a very powerful creature at all. 3 AL. Very hard to miss. 12 speed. That's the fastest, by the way. I should also mention. AL, speed. Those two things can never, no matter what kind of buffs you have, never be more than 12. They can never be more than 12. In case that was a question in anybody's head. Because you only roll 2d6, right, to attack. So if somebody has a AL of 12 and you're rolling 2d6, how the hell do you hit them? You can't rely on magic cards all the time, but a critical hit certainly could hit it. And he only has 20 HP. So, cute squirrel. He'll probably die. Got a Bugman. 7 AL, speed 6, HP 70. All in all, a pretty solid card. 3 dice rolls plus 3. This is actually pretty powerful. Now, I mentioned a sacrifice mechanic earlier in the video, and the sacrifice is based off of their AL. Now, I don't really recall, and I think it will say it on here. Possibly. Possibly not. We may have to look. Oh wait, no, yep. ALs 1 through 6, you do not need to sacrifice. ALs 7 through 11, you do. So if I wanted to summon him, and I had the squirrel, I would have to put the squirrel in the graveyard, and then put him down. You see. You gotta sacrifice your creatures in order to summon the more powerful creatures. It would make sense to do it with the squirrel because he only has 20 HP. If you had an entire deck of squirrels just as sacrificial lambs, which funny enough, that is a card in this game. Sacrificial lamb, I mean. Yeah, you just have a bunch of squirrels and you sacrifice them because of the low HP cost to put out more powerful creatures. That could be a fun little deck. Water, Elotoid? I think that's a elemental creature type. Oh yeah, he's a bug, insect creature type, and I think squirrel is like a beast type creature. I don't know the actual names of the different creature types, but it's on their complete rules reference booklet, guide, sheet that's on their website. Yeah, 3 dice rolls plus 1, AL 5, speed 7, HP 60. Actually, not a terrible card. Thief. So now we're getting into one of the first cards that actually has an effect. Some of these creatures do have effects. So the Thief is a humanoid, AL 3, speed 11, HP 50. So attack is Gouge, 1 dice roll plus 1. And the effect says, on summon, steal 1 equip card from your opponent's side of the field and equip it to this card. Send stolen card to opponent's cemetery if this card leaves the field, changes control, or this effect is negated. That's kind of cool. Could be a lot of fun with the speed like with 11. He'd be very easy to hit. This would be good for just stealing really powerful equipment and you don't have a way to remove the equipment on your opponent's side. This would be a good creature to use to sort of hinder or handicap your opponent with their really powerful equipment spells. The Acolyte. I was hoping I was going to get this card, only because it's a healing card, and it's one of the few healing creatures that actually exist. So the Acolyte, AL 4, speed 6, HP 30, kind of a weak creature all around. However, Healing Wave, at the beginning of your turn, heal this creature 5 HP. That's kind of important. This creature. So every turn, this creature is healing for 5 hit points. Could be a threat, actually, now that I think about it. You equip the Acolyte with a couple of AL and a couple of speed buffs, and the fact that I have passive healing every single turn, that could change the game. Don't underestimate that. Then we have the Big Buck, Antler Clash. 2 dice rolls plus 2. For AL, 8 speed, pretty solid speed. HP 50, pretty average. The Kendo Tiger. So now we're getting out of the commons and we're starting to get into the uncommons. Kendo Tiger. On summon, choose one of the following effects. Send one card from your opponent's hand back to their deck, and then they have to shuffle. Destroy one magic card on the field. Now you could destroy one magic card on the field. It doesn't say your opponent's, so if your opponent doesn't equip on you, on one of your creatures, you can, I don't know how that would work, but if it did, in that sort of way, you can actually destroy that magic card, so that way you don't get any debuffs on your character entering the battlefield. For AL, not very high, speed pretty high, HP pretty low, but sending a card from your opponent's hand back to their deck, that's pretty beefy. It does not state, though, that the opponent needs to show you their hand. So I don't know how this would work. Any of the rules lawyers who play Ward, maybe you can clear that up for me. If if I play the Kendo Tiger, do I just pick a card at random, or do they have to show me their hand? I don't exactly know. Dwarf. I do like the dwarf art. I'm a big fan of the dwarf. Mostly because it I mean that's a traditional dwarf right there. AL6, pretty solid. Just powerful enough to the point where you don't need to sacrifice. Speed is really low, HP is not very great. But one dice roll plus 4 to the attack roll and to the hit roll. Another skeleton pirate. Look at that, our first double. The baby dino. AL4, speed 6, 40 HP. One dice roll plus 3. It's a dinosaur. Raging Inferno. This is one of the coolest arts in the entire set, in my opinion. Now we're starting to get into the rares. Let's zoom in on that icon just so that way you can see the icon. So the icon is like a blue diamond for the rares. So with this one, if the equipped creature is damaged in battle, inflict 5 HP of damage to the attacking creature. So it kind of acts as like a thorns sort of deal there. Equip it on your creature every time they... I mean, think about that. Put that on the Acolyte, right? Because then the Acolyte's getting healed, but they're getting hit for 5 points every turn. And that'll make them think twice about swinging at your Acolyte. Who knows? Next up, we have Winter Sentinel. This one is actually a... this icon we haven't seen yet. It's purple. And again, I forget what the rarity things are. I don't know if this is definitely not like legendary or anything, but it is pretty rare. When your opponent finishes their attack, play this card. Negate the attack and freeze the attacking creature for one entire turn cycle. Frozen creatures cannot battle or be sacrificed. That's really cool. So you negate any damage towards your creature from your opponent, and you freeze them from attacking for one whole turn cycle. Pretty good. Oh my god, the gnomes. So I have been watching or looking into Ward's card library for a little while now. Their Gen 1 set has a couple of gnomes. Gen 2 set has a couple of gnomes. I absolutely want to make a gnome deck. And funny enough, my buddy Jared, I'm trying to get him into playing this. And I told him that there were gnomes, and he plays a gnome barbarian in our D&D campaign. And he's like, I'm sold. So if I show him this card, he'll be like, yes. So yeah, look at that. This is actually a really good card. AL6, so you don't need to sacrifice. Speed of 10, because he's Corgi bound. 60 HP, pretty average. Pretty better than average, I would say, actually. 3 dice rolls for the damage, and then you get a +1. For every card in your hand with gnome in its name, add an extra attack dice and +1 to its hit and attack modifier. So if you do a gnome tribal deck, oh my god, the gnomes are going to run wild. And there we have the second gnome. The Gnome Warrior. This one you would have to sacrifice because it has an AL of 7. It's got a speed of 5, HP of 70. Short swing, 2 dice at +3. And it has the same effect. For every card in your hand with gnome in its name, add an extra attack dice and +1 to its hit and attack modifier. Pretty sick. Here's a Bear Wolf. Also pretty powerful. This one's interesting because speed doesn't matter. AL6, which means no sacrifice. Speed, irrelevant, and we'll get to that in a minute. 50 HP. 2 attack dice rolls and hit and attack modifier +4. This creature always attacks first during battle. Pretty brutal. Pretty brutal. Sleepy Scent. Target creature is put to sleep for 2 entire turn cycles. While asleep, the creature cannot initiate battle, but also heals 10 HP per turn. Any damage wakes the sleeping creature. So this would be a phenomenal way to build your hand if you know you're gonna... Like, if your opponent puts down, like, the old one or some other really, really powerful card, and you know that you either need to pull a more powerful creature and sacrifice the one that's on the board, or you know that you have really good equipment, but you gotta pull it. You gotta put, the heart of the cards, man. This would be a good way to negate a lot of onset damage in the beginning and get yourself more situated on the battlefield to be able to handle that threat. Now, we're in the foil stage. I love how they do the foils. Let's see what we get. Ooh, a Scroll of Silence. Look at how these foils look. I'm actually a really big fan of these foils. I kind of like, I like how it's like sort of chopped up and mystical and all that stuff. So this is an instant. Play this card from your hand if your opponent uses an instant card. Negate the instant card effect and send it to the cemetery. I think it's supposed to be send it to the cemetery. This card cannot be negated. So that's the starter deck. Now we're gonna crack some boosters. Kind of cool. I was kind of hoping for more powerful cards, to be honest, but I really like what I got here, and I like how these starter decks are kind of constructed. So let's take a look. Let's see. How many creatures does it actually give us? And how many magic cards does it give us? Wow, that's a lot of magic. So it gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 creatures, and 15, or more than 15, what was that, 20? Yeah, 20 magic cards, because there's 35 in here. That's enough to play. Right out of the deck. And everybody's deck is going to be completely different, which makes it fun. But now we get into the more important stuff. And that is cracking these packs to see if we get anything a little bit more powerful. So here's the first booster. Get a good look at it. There are 9 cards in here. You get... I don't think it actually tells you what you can pull in this. I know it says it on the website when you're making the purchase. It tells you like how many of each you're going to be able to pull. I figured it would do that on the deck or on the booster itself, but I guess it hasn't, or it doesn't. So let's take a look. We have Double Hit. It's an equip. Equipped creature can initiate battle twice during this turn. Your opponent can only return attack for one of these battles. Ancestral Sword. It's a field. This card only affects your primary creature. Gives them a +2 to their attack. Irresistible Love. That's our second one of those. Common Helm. It's the first time we got one of those. Here's our second Thief. Bunyasaurus. 5 AL, 6 speed, 40 HP, 1 dice roll plus 3. While on the field, negate an attack against this card or negate the activation of a magic card. This effect can only be used once while this card is on the field. Kind of cool. We got our second dwarf. We got a Bronto, baby. The Bronto is very, very powerful. I'm actually happy I pulled this. So check this out. It's got an AL of 11. Oh, let's get a little bit closer here. It's got an AL of 11. That's going to be hard to hit. Speed of 1. Basically, this guy's going last every time, but look at that HP. Now, 2 dice rolls plus 7 to your attack and to your hit. That's kind of beefy. That's now I think with the 11, you actually need to sacrifice 2 creatures. And then when you hit 12, because there is a creature that has 12 AL, I think you need to sacrifice 3 creatures. So keep that in mind. Oh, looks like we got a foil back here. A lightning strike foil. Look at that. That's actually really nice. I'm very happy that I pulled this. If your opponent activates a magic card, play this card from your hand. Negate the magic card and deal 30 HP damage to all creatures on the field. I'm definitely putting that in a sleeve. To be fair, all of these are going to be going in the sleeve, and I'm happy that I have these blue sleeves because I feel like the blue with the red, like the contrast, just feels very old school, and I'm really a fan of that. So that was our first booster. Let's move on to the second one. So yeah, I've never really been the type of person to really care too much about like cracking packs and doing all that stuff. Like when I was getting into Magic with Ixalan, I did go to, you know, like a pre-release and stuff like that, and I thought it was fun, and you know, but the hype around pulling stuff has never really been my thing, and I'm kind of mad at Ward for slowly pushing me into that direction. But let's see what we have here. Exorcism. Love the artwork. Can we just get a close-up of that artwork? Hold on. Love that artwork. That's a lot of fun. It feels very vaporwave, you know? It's got like the purples and the greens and the pinks and stuff. Very, very cool. Put it on the field. 2 times damage to all creatures with demon in their name or demon type. So if you know you're playing against a player who likes to play demons, you're going to do double damage to all of their creatures because of this card. Very cool. Got our second Nightmare Claw. Bug Spray. All bug type creatures take 2 times damage. Future Warrior. It's an equipped card. The equipped creature can see the future. Negate opponent's creature damage for a single battle of your choosing. Basically a single fight sequence. Send this card to the cemetery after negation. Our third dwarf, guys. I think I might have to build a dwarf deck. If I got 3 of them already and you can only have a max of 3 creatures. The Electro Wizard. I was actually hoping that I would pull this wizard. I'm a big fan of wizards. One of my most popular, or one of my most powerful wizard or magic decks is actually a wizard, like explosive wizard, tribal something or another. Blue-red wizards. But anyway, here's a wizard. The Electro Wizard. AL6, no sacrifice. Speed 10. Very fast. HP 50, pretty average. 1 dice roll, +5 to hit, +5 to damage. This card does not battle during your turn. You may add +4 attack dice rolls. Yeah, I'm going to need clarification on that. Does that mean I get 4 attack dice? Or does that mean I get +4 to my attack? I'm going to need clarification. But if so, very cool. Also, I'm just a fan of wizards. This artwork is sick. The guide. AL5, speed 8, HP 60. Pretty average. It is a common. 2 dice rolls +2. When a creature is sent to the cemetery, heal this creature for half the total HP of the sent creature. Pretty good. Ah, our second Raging Inferno. Ooh, and we got our last card here. Bound with Chains. It's a field card. While this card is on the field, players cannot remove cards from their cemetery. Does that mean that there is like a necromancy sort of like summoning thing that happens in this set or over the Gen 1 and Gen 2 sets that we should be concerned with? If so, if you play against somebody who likes to pull cards from their cemetery, that's a great way to stop that from happening. Alright, let's move on to the next booster. Hey, we got another Exorcism. Very cool. Love this card. Claws of the Beast. I saw a foil. Claws of the Beast. We got a second one of those. Common Gloves. Now I think we have the full set of common armor. Reverse Polarity. It's a field card. While this card is active on the field, the creature with lower speed attacks first. This paired with a Bronto would be devastating. Absolutely devastating. Or if you build a deck around reverse polarities and then just play like really, really slow creatures and then buff them, because they gotta balance the creatures, right? Give higher damage to slower creatures. Makes sense. But if you have stuff like this, oh, that would be unforgivable. Squirrel. Squirrel again. Buck. Apocalypse. Ooh, this is one of our first, like, rare cards, denoted by that little yellow diamond there. All creatures, field card. I also love the art here. It feels very Galactus, you know. It feels very like early X-Men, like Uncanny X-Men or something like that, with, you know, the World Eater destroying the planet. Field. All players must roll a die each turn. If the result of a die match, all primary creatures take 100 HP. If this effect occurs, send this card to the cemetery. So, think about this. Somebody just put out a god, right? Somebody that has like 150 HP. This is a great way of making that player get really scared. Especially if you have a squirrel or something out and they, you know, man, the combos that you could probably pull with this to really take down some of the more beefier monsters. I can't wait to see a tournament when somebody plays this and it's effective in taking down one of like the godlike characters or monsters rather. So here's our foil, Wild Vampire. God, I love the foil, man. I just love the way that looks. So it's undead, AL 5, speed 9, 60 HP, Gorge, 2 dice rolls +1. On hit, reduce your opponent's primary creature's AL to 0. Increase this card's modifier, so the +1, by the number decreased. This effect resets if this card or the affected creature leaves the field, switches control, or this effect is negated. So, that's kind of disgusting. That means that even a god, if you're able to hit somebody with like an AL of 12, he will now get +12, and that creature's AL will be 0. Terrifying. Actually terrifying. I would hate if somebody played that card against me and like I pull out a 12/12 150 HP creature. Oh, I'd be pissed. All right. Next booster. And for what it's worth, I hope you guys are enjoying this. I really do recommend you know, before we, you know, get into this one, into this booster, I want you guys, you know, really take a look at WARD. Take a look at their Discord. Look at their channels where it shows you how to properly build decks or different ideas that people have for decks, because people are just starting to get used to this, starting to get into more of like the tournament scene with it, locally at least. They do ship everywhere as far as I'm aware, especially in the US. Yeah, take a look. The boosters right now. So let's talk about pricing. The starter set that I got, I believe, was like $23 or something like that. And every single one of these boosters, I bought a 5-pack, and the 5-pack was about the same price as the starter set. So there you go. Not terrible. I think they're like, I don't know how much these boosters are a piece. They may be like $5 or $6, I think. Which again, you know, it's an indie studio. It's an indie dev team, and I am a massive supporter of any independently owned, operated, manufactured, anything really, especially when it comes to tabletop games and TCGs. So yeah, let's get into this next one. We got another Bull Power, very cool. Another set of common gloves. Lead boots. So we haven't seen this yet. You would think that these, you know, it's a good thing, right? Lead boots? No. Equip only to primary creature. It cannot leave the field or change possession other than by death by battle. Or damage. This card cannot be removed from the field unless destroyed. Actually, this could be pretty useful. Especially if you're playing against a person who might have spells or effects that make it so that way they take control over your creatures, if that exists. Oh, pulled a couple more than I should have there. Another Nightmare Claw, another Bunnyosaurus, a Corn Creeper, kind of a cool card. AL3, Speed 8, HP 30. 2 dice rolls plus 2. Do 5 times damage during this card's first attack. 5 times. This effect can only occur 1 time while this card is on the field. And brutal. Got a giant snake. 1 dice roll plus 2. AL5, Speed 12. Fastest in the game. HP 60. On hit, your opponent's creature is wrapped. The wrapped creature cannot battle or return attack. At the beginning of your opponent's turn, they may roll 1 die. The result is 3 through 6. This effect ends. That's kind of awesome. Especially if your opponent is rolling really shittily that night. Time Weaver. I was hoping I was going to pull the Time Weaver. So Time Weaver is cool. AL7, which means that it's sacrificial. 12 speed, 60 HP. Time Spike. 2 dice rolls plus 5 for their hit and their attack. While this card is on the field, instants cannot be played. You could literally shut an entire opponent's entire plan down, literally from this one card, because there are a lot of instants in this game. So now we're on to the last card, and it is a magic card. Reduce the burden. I was hoping I was going to get this. Clearly, it's a Frodo and Gandalf homage here. This is really, 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 really good. Play this card to the field. When it is played to the field, send it to your cemetery. Reduce your overall cemetery HP by negative or minus 30 HP. So as I was saying, as you defeat your creatures, you have to count their HP as it goes into your cemetery. Once your cemetery reaches 300 HP, you lose. So this is a good way to heal what I would like to call, you know, permanent damage, if you will. Because there's temporary damage from your creature getting hurt, but once that creature goes into your cemetery, that's permanent damage to you. So this is one of the only cards that actually allows you to heal your cemetery HP, if not the only card that does that. Now we're down to the very last pack. I was really hoping that I was going to be able to pull one particular card. Maybe it'll happen here. We'll see. Oh, it's a foil, and it's a creature, so we'll see. Spoilers. Double hit. We already had one of those. Very cool. Cure minor wounds. Look at that. Another healing. like the elf, like how she's healing the bird there. During play this card from your hand. It's an instant. Roll 2 dice and heal a creature with the result from the dice. Roll 2d6 and heal. We got our second Ring of Extremes. We have our second Magic Watch. The other wizard. I was hoping we'd pull him too. So there is the Electric Wizard, and then there's the Inferno Wizard. And the Inferno Wizard is absolutely goated. Like, look at this dude. AL6, meaning not sacrificial. He could just come on the field. Speed of 10, HP 50. 3 dice rolls, +3 to hit and damage. A second Acolyte. That's awesome. Our first Were creature. And it's a rat. So, AL40, speed 10, HP 50. 1 dice roll, +4 to attack and damage. Metamoth. Dude, people have been going nuts over the Metamoth. They apparently love him for some reason, and I can see why. AL2, easy as hell to hit. Speed, super fast. HP, very low. +8. +8 to hit and to the damage rolls. So, and don't forget, when you roll 2d6s and you get 6 on both as a result, that's a crit. That means double the damage. So you'll get 12 + 8, which is 20, times 2, which is 40. That's enough to kill many of the creatures in this entire set in one hit. Now we're down to the final creature, guys. Before we pull it, again, I just, want to remind everybody that we do have a podcast called Crithalla, obviously. Come check us out. And if you are a collector of Lorcana cards, come check out Crithalla on Whatnot. I don't know Dan's schedule for that, because that's kind of his project that he's doing on his own. But if you're on Whatnot and you're a collector of TCGs, give us a follow. And then when we go live, see if you can get yourself some Lorcana cards. His, the way that he does it is honestly kind of crazy fair. To the point where, like, I don't know exactly how he is doing it, if that makes sense. Like, I don't really do Whatnot, so I can't really speak on it, but people have won some kind of crazy stuff on there. They've been winning, like, really expensive chasers, like entire deck boxes, I think he just did like an Encanto playmat, which is really hard to get. Apparently, he gave one of those away. Somebody pulled that as a chaser. Plus, he's constantly doing like legendaries and stuff like that. So go check him out. Anyway, last creature. What's it gonna be? The Snowman. Snowman's pretty cool. I see the artwork for this everywhere. Very sick. AL6. Doesn't need a sacrifice. Speed of 3. HP 50. 3 dice rolls. +4 to hit. +4 to damage. Or attack, rather. So there you have it. That is what Ward kind of looks like. Now, again, I haven't really gotten into the rules too much. Just know that, you draw cards at the beginning. You play a creature. Your opponent plays a creature, and you go back and forth beating the hell out of each other's creatures until eventually those creatures die and one person loses, basically. But yeah, no, again, the artwork really dope in this. Big fan of how all of this is set up. Love the red border. Not super crazy about the back art, if I'm being honest. It's not bad, like, at all. It definitely has that comic book feel to it, especially with like the splashy kind of fiery effect. I take that back. I actually kind of like how that looks. The more I look at it, the more I kind of appreciate it. But anyway, yeah, check them out. I think the website, again, on the back of the card here. ward-cardgame.com. They just had this release last week. They had a live event with tournaments and free giveaways and all types of stuff in Minnesota. and they're shipping everywhere now for this stuff. So go check them out. Go show some support to some local TCGs, and in the future we will do more videos on this, because I have never really been a TCG guy, as I said before, but this is kind of convincing me otherwise. And I think in the future, what I would like to do is do some deck building tips, do some deck building showcases, play against a bunch of different people's other decks, either online or in person, and kind of refine it. Make some fun decks, make some super competitive decks. I mean, we'll mess around with the formula a little bit, and see how the meta changes over time, and see like what works and what doesn't. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. That's WARD. I got nothing else to say, really. So thank you guys so much for watching the video and sticking all the way through it. I know that probably a lot of people skipped ahead just to see the cards, you know, and that's fine too. But if that gets you to at least look into the card game itself, and you know, possibly pick up a couple of boosters or even a starter pack for yourself, then my job here is done. So anyway, my name is Stavi. Thank you guys for hanging out. I have been streaming on my Twitch channel over at twitch.tv/SoDopeStavi. Been playing a lot of weird games. What have I been playing recently? Once Human. But right now I'm playing Terraria Calamity mod, but I haven't started streaming that as of today. So, but come by, hang out, check us out on our podcast with Crithalla. It's on your favorite streaming platforms. It's on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, whatever. And I will catch you guys probably in the next unpacking episode, cracking of these booster packs. So, thanks so much, guys, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.